This stunning piece was a gift from friends, purchased at a garage sale 10 to 15 years ago, and displayed in their bathroom until given to the owner. Made by Tiffany Studios in New York, confirmed by the Tiffany Studios mark at the bottom, crafted around 1905, it features a verdigris patinization on bronze, showcasing Tiffany Studios' prominence in the Art Nouveau movement. The intricate design includes individually crafted leaves emanating from the base.
So there's an incredible amount of work involved in that. It's not just sort of a large cast base that has some detailing on it, but each piece is
so those
is
individually made and then soldered together.
Yeah.
The stem is graceful, leading to delicate bronze wire decorations, and the top exhibits a rare saxifrage pattern. Estimated at auction, a single candlestick could fetch.
I would be looking probably in the $15,000 to $20,000 range. So.
Oil paintings are created with love and happiness. During a discussion about a painting, Joseph Naahi, a significant figure in Hawaii's history, is mentioned. In addition to painting, he practiced law and managed a newspaper. The painting depicts renowned Hawaiian landmarks like Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa. Despite Naahi not being a professional painter, he led the way in Hawaii by adopting Western painting styles early on. The figures in the painting are described as somewhat stiff. Found in a shop, the painting was restored and now holds significant potential value. The owner, who is Hawaiian, expresses pride in possessing it, considering it a treasure. While examining the condition of the item, the appraiser said,
If this were to be up at auction today, I would probably put an estimate of $100,000 to $150,000 on it.
Are you kidding?
It's a great thing.
This captivating painting, originally owned by the guest's grandfather until his passing in 1983, holds a cherished place in their family history. The painting, by Alexis Forier, prominent figure in the arts and crafts movement, was acquired due to the grandfather's love of the movement.
He became the sort of resident painter of the Roy Crofter group.
Alexis Forier, born in 1865 and passing away in 1948, was deeply influenced by the Barbizon painters and their romanticized view of nature.
And he became a part of an American Barbizon movement when he came back.
The painting, titled After an October Rain, is noted for its arts and crafts frame, enhancing its connection to the movement. Inscribed on the back with a price of $500, the painting's true value exceeds typical estimates, with similar works by Forier ranging from $4,000 to $6,000. However, due to its specific Brown County location, this painting is estimated to be worth significantly more, with an auction estimate ranging from...
Auction estimate on this picture today might be in the $25,000 to $35,000 range.
That's wonderful.
The guest showcased two iconic puppets at the show. They belong to a guest's aunt who worked at Rankin Bass Productions in the 70s and 80s. The puppets, Rudolph and Santa Claus, were used in the 1964 movie. The appraiser examined the item and talked about its imperfect condition. One of the puppets, Rudolph's nose, was replaced with Play-Doh, and Santa was missing whiskers. However, restoration could have significantly increased their worth. Due to their iconic status, the suggested value for the pair was...
I wouldn't estimate it less than $8,000 to $10,000 for the pair.
In November 2020, Rudolph and Santa were auctioned, and the bidding frenzy resulted in a final sale price of $368,000. Eventually, the bidder donated the puppets to the museum, ensuring their preservation. The appraiser thanked the anonymous donor for their generosity and was grateful to be part of the story. There aren't many events as historical as man landing on the moon. To many, the formation of NASA was a turning point in human history, and today's guest's father was a key figure in actualizing man's dream to land on the moon.
And what was his capacity there?
He was in the human engineering, biomedical, bio-research area.
So he did quite a bit.
I assume so, yes.
We can see here some NASA photos that were signed by key individuals during the event. These photos represent the testing and formation of the spacesuits for durability. We can also see that the guest's father was a key player in that he designed the first helmets that were used to travel into space. The photos were signed by the original Mercury 7, who traveled into space. As a piece that was signed by history makers who were some of the first people to step on the moon, these signed photos represent a vital piece of history and auction for...
Well, this photo, we would put an estimate at auction between $5,000 and $6,000.
Oh my.
And at auction, we put a price of between $1,000 and $1,500.
Wow.
Now, lastly, we have the interesting photos here of showing the development of the helmet. At auction, we would estimate these between $1,000 and $2,000.
Wow. Thank you. It's exciting.
So we have an estimate at auction of between $7,000 and $9,500.
Okay. Wow.
The guest tells about Arthur Ludwig Princehorn, a photographer from 1901. He took cool pictures of Sioux Indians in New York. Princehorn even made his own camera. Although it's not in great shape now, it's still important. We found a few pictures and frames, but most are just loose. Sadly, the camera doesn't have its lens or shutter, and it's not in good shape. The photos are like a history book, showing life after the fighting. They also show Wild West shows and people riding horses. Keeping these photos safe is really important to remember our family's past. While examining the condition of the item, the appraiser said,
"That probably kicks it up to $18,000 to $20,000 for insurance."
My goodness gracious. My grandfather would have been thrilled.
Guest's mother received this piece around 15 years ago from her friend's husband after her friend passed away. Guest's mother stumbled upon the package on the driveway while watering plants, unaware of its presence, as she typically enters through the garage. The piece dates back to around 1918 or 1920, blending elements from both Edwardian and Art Deco styles.
So this is really a nice transition piece, moving through the Edwardian, some little details there as we move into the Art Deco period.
It's made of platinum and adorned with diamonds, featuring a stunning Burmese ruby at the center.
But the real star of this piece is this stone right in the center, this red stone. This is a ruby.
The ruby, weighing around 3 carats, is unheated and highly valuable in today's market. Despite its quality, there are no marks indicating its origin or designer. It likely originated from a leading wholesale manufacturer in New York. At auction, it could sell for between...
This item would carry a pre-sale estimate of between $80,000 and $100,000.
Very nice.
The gilded iron weather vane was purchased by the guest at an estate auction in Saline, Michigan.
I've always assumed it was the angel Gabriel, and I loved everything about it, so we bought it.
The weather vane is an authentic piece, unlike many false sheet iron weather vanes that exist. Its form features Gabriel blowing his horn and rising, which is considered unusual but authentic. When you look at the weathered edge, there's a lack of significant rust like new iron does. Also, there are vestiges of the gliding and beautiful old patination. Based on its remarkable designs, this piece can be described as a captivating silhouette. Likely made in the early 19th century, this terrific Gabriel folk art weather vane is entirely successful. Even though its origin is not known precisely, a religious artifact of this authenticity is highly valued at...
In an auction situation, we would estimate this at $15,000 to $25,000.
Oh, wow.
So it's terrific.
Thank you.
Presented on the show today is not just a painting, but a window into the soul of an era long past, where every detail is a thread in the fabric of history. This painting has been in the guest's family for at least 3 generations. It was created by a very skillful artist, Julian Underdonk, an American Impressionist painter known for his captivating depictions of Texas landscapes. He was also heavily influenced by the Impressionist movement, particularly by his father, who was also a painter. Dating back to the early 1900s, this piece of art truly is captivating. Depicted in this painting is a Long Island scenery featuring a colorful landscape, a body of water, and the sky. Visible on the painted sky are some cracklure patterns, which are signs of natural aging and shrinking in the materials used in the painting process.
One of the things that we still see in the sky is a cracklure pattern.
However, some restoration work has been done on the painting. Overall, this painting, together with its rich history and its age and preservation, would be valued at auction for around...
Retail, I'd be valuing the painting at $35,000.
You're kidding.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow.
This painting has been hanging in the guest's childhood home in Vermont for their entire life. Before that, the guest's father inherited it from his grandmother, and it is believed to have come from the family friend William Went, who was called the Dean of Southern California Landscape. He died in Laguna Beach in 1946, where he set up his studio. The painting, an oil on canvas, was purchased directly from William by the guest's great-uncle. It is a California landscape typical of William's style.
So that's a really kind of a cool thing. He's known as a landscape painter that actually painted a lot of California landscapes.
Additionally, the piece was signed William Went, but not dated. However, based on the artist's popularity and the piece's intact condition, it would be worth nothing less than...
I would estimate this to be worth at auction between $15,000 and $25,000.
Wow. Great. Good job, Dad.
The vintage English lantern clock exhibits both aesthetic charm and craftsmanship. This clock belonged to the guest's father, an avid antique collector. Its lantern shape earned it the name lantern clock, and it likely dates back to around 1670.
It's what we call a lantern clock. They got their name because this sort of mimicked the shape of a lantern. The clock probably dates about 1670.
Another intriguing aspect of this clock is that it represents the first domestic form of clock affordable to average people. Additionally, this clock serves as the predecessor to the grandfather clock. At the base of the clock, there is a pulley and chain attached to a counterweight, as the clock operates on a weight-driven mechanism. Its dial features just a single hand, and the clock was crafted from steel and brass. Encountering an item such as this one is quite rare, and considering its era of origin, it remains in remarkably good condition. Therefore, it would fetch a high auction value of...
These clocks today retail usually sell in the $7,000 to $10,000 range.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's great.
Well, thank you, Senator, for bringing it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Back in 1962, the guest lived with Chuck Close and acquired this piece from him. Since then, it has mostly adorned walls. The piece dates back to 1961, early in Close's career when he was around 20 or 21 years old. Unlike his famous large-scale portraits, this one is abstract.
You think of these large-scale portrait heads, photorealism, very far from this abstract expressionist-inspired work.
It's an oil painting titled The Turkey Painting. Despite having some small puncture holes, it's in good condition. Its value ranges from...
At auction, I would put a value of $50,000 to $80,000 on this painting.
This piece has been in the guest's home since she was a child. According to her father, her great-grandparents purchased it on a trip out west. The back of the carrier bears a date of December 1885, and the artist's name is also on the back. This piece is a replica of a full-sized baby cradle made by a Kiowa woman in Anadarko, Oklahoma.
It's very unusual to have a name associated with a piece. It's possible that you could take that name and run it down in the Indian rolls.
We can see the carrier's boards are painted, and the wood is possibly bois d'arc or ash.
This is a flap that would have gone across the top, where this is over the front of it. It would probably cost a grand sum of $300 to $500.
The painting is very Kiowa in style, with a design that some people say represents a scorpion. Also, the beading is unusual, almost like it was beaded on a loom and attached in strips. However, this carrier is a symbol of North American tribal art, and despite being in pieces, the carrier's value is not significantly affected and would fetch a decent price of...
If you went to buy this in a shop, it's going to be easily $10,000 to $12,000.
Oh my gosh.
It's not very often that we see a figurine such as this one. This particular figurine is famously known as the Alka Seltzer Speedy figure. The guest acquired this figurine while working at a bakery in Los Angeles in 1969. This figure was created as a form of advertisement for Alka-Seltzer medication. Featuring a cheerful smile, green-colored eyes, and a hat, the figurine also has a shape resembling the Alka-Seltzer pill on the front of its torso. Interestingly, this figurine is actually in good condition, and that would influence its value positively at auction. Also, the appraisal added that this is a historically significant advertising figure that he had never seen before, coupled with its impeccable preservation, and valued at around
would be thrilled to pay $4,000 to $5,000 for this incredible Speedy Alka Seltzer.
In a surprising turn of events, the owner of the figure reached out months later to the Roadshow collector who had initially appraised it, looking to sell the item, and he successfully sold it to the collector. However, in today's market, the collector later opined that this figurine, with its historical significance to medicine and advertisement form, would sell at around
At auction, I would probably estimate it at like $2,000 to $3,000. A little bit less than I paid for it, but I don't care. I love it.
This painting by Sidney Lawrence likely dates from the 1930s. The guest's parents lived in Alaska in the 1930s, residing in the same rooming house as Sidney Lawrence. Lawrence, originally from Brooklyn, New York, moved to Alaska in the early 1900s. By the 1920s, he had gained recognition as Alaska's most prominent painter. Despite later relocating to Los Angeles and Seattle, Lawrence continued to paint Alaskan scenes, favoring them as his subjects. This painting beautifully captures the distinctive lighting effects often seen in Sidney's artwork. This painting likely dates back to the 1930s when Sidney created it, as indicated by the brighter color tones used. The painting also bore Sidney Lawrence's signature in the corner. The appraiser estimated this beautiful work of Sidney Lawrence to be
I think if you were going to sell this in a retail gallery, it might bring as much as $35,000 or $40,000.
Wow.
This heirloom has been in the guest's family for numerous generations, tracing back to the guest's great-great-great-grandfather.
He was an Indian scout in the Battle of Tippecanoe and also in the Battle of 1812.
During his role as an Indian peacemaker in Georgia, he befriended Seminole Indian chief Billy Bowlegs, who bestowed the heirloom upon him.
Billy Bowlegs was the Seminole chief after Osceola. During the War of 1812, the Seminole sided with the British to a great degree.
Since then, it remained within the family. The horn, dated 1813, was likely carved at the end of the War of 1812 and holds significant historical value.
So when you see these big books of portraits of the American Indian representatives to Washington, Bowlegs is in all of them.
Its documentation and connection to such a prominent figure makes it a valuable artifact. The backside of the horn was plain, whereas the front had carving suggesting it was made to show from the side and to hang off a strap. The appraiser estimated its worth at auction to be between
$20,000 to $25,000.
Oh my, nice. That's nice.
This charcoal portrait is a somber reminder of a family tragedy and was inherited by the guest from her great-uncle. The artwork depicted the guest's great-uncle's son, a young man who had died in a car accident.
Did this portrait of my uncle's son, and it was his only son.
The portrait held immense sentimental value, serving as a cherished memory of the lost loved one. It is truly an intriguing piece done by the artist Nikolai Fechin, a charcoal on paper as he did many of his portraits, and with the initials NF on the lower right. Fechin's artistic journey spanned continents, starting in Russia before the artist was forced to flee due to the Bolshevik Revolution. Eventually, he landed in the United States, initially settling in New York before health concerns drove him to New Mexico. The dry climate of Taos proved to be a haven for Fechin, and it was there that his artistic reputation in America truly flourished. However, personal circumstances forced him to relocate once again, this time to Santa Monica, California. It was likely during this period, around 1936, that Fechin met the guest's great-uncle, who worked as a dentist in Beverly Hills. This artwork bears a great significance due to the artist and a lot of emotional weight based on its origin. Considering both the artistic merit and the backstory, the estimated value of the portrait is between
at $15,000 to $25,000.
Thank you. I think my great-uncle would be very proud.
The guest recognized one etching as a John Sloan and the other as an Edward Hopper. Both Sloan and Hopper were prominent artists who initially made a living as illustrators before achieving recognition for their etchings. Sloan was part of the Ashkin School, a group known for depicting realistic scenes of New York City. Hopper's etching, Easter Eve, was a view of Washington Square Park, and interestingly, Hopper's studio was located nearby. This piece is signed John Sloan, and it is annotated 100 proofs, meaning there was an edition of 100 made of these. The hopper etching is also signed here in pencil, but is from a much smaller edition of probably 25 to 50 prints maximum. It is called the Railroad, and it was made in 1922. They are both in excellent, near as-issued condition, and at auction, the Sloan etching, which is less rare, would go for
around $5,000.
While the hopper etching, the Railroad, from a smaller edition, is valued at
Has a replacement value of about $100,000.
Goodness.
The guest brought in a treasure trove for vintage guitar enthusiasts, a Fender Stratocaster with an exceptional pedigree. The accompanying bill of sale, dated 1956, hinted at the guitar's age, but the true revelation came from the serial number. Examining it, the guitar was identified as one of the earliest Stratocasters ever produced, likely crafted in 1954. This wasn't just any Stratocaster, it was an instrument brimming with originality. While the guitar had replacement knobs and pickup covers, possibly due to the brittleness of the original ash wood, most other parts remained untouched. It's worth pointing out the exceptional quality of the ash wood used in the guitar's body, highlighting the unusual straight grain that resembled a violin or acoustic guitar. Considering the guitar's early production year, its near original condition, and the enduring popularity of vintage Stratocasters, the valuation is placed between
$50,000 and $70,000.
The guest brought in a fascinating heirloom, a sand art bottle created by Andrew Clemens, a deaf-mute artist from McGregor, Iowa. The guest knew little about the piece, but had discovered the artist's name online.
The only thing I could come up with was, I guess, is Andrew Clemens. But as far as that, I don't know anything else about it.
A paper label on the bottle reveals Clemens's name and the origin of the colored sand, Pictured Rocks, a location known for its mineral-rich runoff. The intricate details within the bottle, including an American eagle and flag, were all meticulously crafted from individual grains of sand. Clemens's sand art was a popular gift item in the late 19th century, often given with personalized labels like the one found on the guest's bottle. And you can see this was from Miss Emma Kaufman, given to her by someone who actually lived in the vicinity of McGregor, Iowa. While the market for Clemens's work was limited, its value has risen significantly. The estimated retail value of the guest's sand art bottle is between
somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000.
Wow. It's a lot.
The guest brought in a landscape painting they had purchased for $3,000 at an estate sale a few years ago. The guest recognized the artist's name, Edward Bannister, from a previous episode of Antiques Roadshow. Bannister was an African-American artist who flourished in the late 19th century. Despite the lack of a confirmed date, the painting was created around 1885 based on Bannister's career timeline and the painting's style. Several aspects of the painting, the impressionistic brushstrokes, the overall muted tones, and some minor cracking were all consistent with an old oil painting. Some condition issues, such as minor paint splatter, that would benefit from professional conservation was observed. The most intriguing revelation came from the potential value of the painting. In its current condition, the estimated value is...
Okay. So as is, I think I would probably price it at around $40,000. Wow.
Guest inherited this stunning rug from her mother-in-law's estate 5 years ago. It's a Persian rug made around 1890 to 1900, originating from Shreveport, Louisiana. This masterpiece is known as a Laver Kerman, celebrated for its exquisite craftsmanship. With approximately 300 knots per square inch, it showcases incredible attention to detail. The intricate design showcases what is known as a millefleur design, or 1,000 flowers. It reflects a fusion of Victorian and Art Nouveau styles, prevalent during its creation.
Starting to be influenced by the Art Nouveau, and so there's a very flowing quality to the design that is evocative of what was happening with the Art Nouveau decoration.
The rich burgundy color is derived from an insect dye found on cactus, further enhancing its uniqueness. It's common for rugs to unravel, as evidenced by the frayed edges. Skillful restoration by a professional can improve its condition. Despite the absent border, its estimated value remains around...
If I were selling this in my gallery, I would sell it for about $8,500.
Okay.
Presented on the show today is a porcelain figure with intricate details. The guest inherited it from her father. Crafted in England circa 1865, it embodies the craftsmanship of the Victorian era.
Stavager figurines, they mostly depicted in terms of people things having to do with Great Britain, but they did make some things.
And showcases Franklin's iconic look, Benjamin Franklin. His attire and each element represents his roles as a statesman, inventor, and a philosopher. All of which are now immortalized in this figure, as well as its timeless craftsmanship, which makes it truly special. As such, in today's market with its symbolic representation and historical craftsmanship, this figure would sell for,
I would think a conservative retail price for this piece would be somewhere between $800 and $1,200.
Today, we delve into the extraordinary world of an artwork that defies stillness, where every twist and turn tells a story of fluidity and grace. Our guest showcases this kinetic sculpture, acquired by her parents at an exhibition at the Delgado Museum in New Orleans in the late 1950s. The maker of this piece was none other than George Rickey. He was an American sculptor whose interest in mechanical things was reawakened during his wartime work in aircraft and gunnery systems research and maintenance. Featured on this piece are mostly free-moving parts, as expected of a kinetic sculpture. At its base lies a sturdy foundation, aiding the object in maintaining its movement. While it has suffered some damage, it has been carefully repaired.
We noticed that there were maybe some small elements missing from the top. The base has suffered a little damage and has been repaired.
However, there are a few missing elements on this item due to long-term possession and constant relocation. This mesmerizing work of art, though damaged, remains valuable. Moreover, the personal emotions it evokes are priceless. At auction, its value is estimated to be around.
Conservative estimate would be between $10,000 and $15,000.
I'm surprised. I thought you would say $25, but if you put it back together, it might be worth $500 or something like that.
This vintage rocking chair isn't just an object. It's a testament to the artistry and ingenuity of generations past, offering solace and reprieve to weary souls. The guest's father-in-law purchased it at an antique store in Georgeville, Illinois, and he had owned the chair for many years. Over the years, few chairs of this type have been presented on the show, as the appraiser noted.
Believe it or not, over the years we've seen a few of these chairs.
On the crest rail of the chair are acorn terminals, which must have required a lot of work to make at the time it was crafted. This chair is very old, dating back to the late 19th century. For its age, this chair has been very well maintained. Looking at the chair's legs, we can see the craftsmanship of its maker and how the horn designs were utilized. This vintage rocking chair in such good condition, with its timeless design and comforting embrace, attests to the enduring allure of simplicity. Its value at auction would be placed at around,
I would think probably in the area of about $2,000 or $2,500.
This lovely Chinese jade collection makes its way to the show. This collection belonged to the guest's husband, who got it as a trade while in Korea. What he traded for it is unknown.
You know, even though he got this in Korea, these are Chinese jades. The vast majority of these were carved in the 18th century during the reign of the Emperor Qianlong.
He loved white jade, which was mined predominantly in northwest China.
And his taste for these wonderful small carvings, scholars' objects such as this bee disc, this little censer, and this brush washer, were all made for the imperial court.
He set the precedent for the acquisition of jades, as other wealthy merchants also soon started collecting them.
Of the entire collection, the most important pieces are this piece, the bee disc, the censer, and the incense vase.
These are valued individually at $10,000 to $15,000 each. This entire collection is collectively valued at about,
would bring probably now, because the market is really hot, $40,000 to $60,000 easily at auction.
I'm really very, very pleased, astounded.
In 2020, its value rose to about $60,000 to $90,000. What do you think would it value in today's market? Let me know in the comments. This guest brings a lovely painting for appraisal. It was bought in Crane, Missouri for $2,500. This beautiful artwork was done by the artist Charles Zachary Landel. Landel was a French painter who specialized in portraits. He was best known for his Orientalist works. This is indeed a beautiful piece.
He's painted a very beautiful subject.
Right.
She's probably just coming home from the market with her flowers.
It is valued at about
It might bring between $25,000 and $35,000, and if you wanted to insure it, I would insure it for $40,000.
Well, that's not too bad.
Even though most tragic events aren't often remembered, the Battle of Pearl Harbor is one never to be forgotten. Today's guest's father was one of the men who participated in the historical event. To mark the event, his father acquired some historical Pearl Harbor buttons.
This material was produced after Pearl Harbor. Of course, it was a traumatic event,
which serve as a reminder of the event. But in contrast to the tragic parts of the event, the main purpose of these buttons is to serve as a motivation for patriotism. Some folks call historical pieces like these war jewelry because they were significant pieces used in the war.
And another interesting piece is this compact, which is a ladies' compact. Yes. And it's in excellent condition.
The buttons also have pictures of key moments that were prominent during the war. Since these buttons represent a piece of American history, these buttons auction each at
You would have here, in aggregate, a value of something between $700 and $1,000.
That much?
Oh yeah. Well, some of these pieces just don't appear.
Around 1910, these items came into the possession of their family from the Oklahoma area. In the 19th century, Oklahoma was recognized as Indian Territory. The Kiowa tribe is already in that area, and some of these are of it. These moccasins from the Delaware tribe were sent out there in the 1830s, despite their origins in Delaware. The style of beadwork and decoration of the Kiowa was greatly influenced by them. The design of this Delaware moccasin bears some resemblance to the patterns found on this Kiowa bag. The leggings were fully fringed, covering the entire leg up to the top. As they walked, the flaps opened and flapped with each step. In Oklahoma, one can observe the distinctive fringe attached to the back of their moccasins, locally known as dusters. Perhaps the same notion crossed their minds, that their footprints seemed to vanish with each step they took. These leggings showcase a vibrant combination of yellow and green hues, accented by rolled fringe. 2 or 3 pieces of fringe were rolled and twisted tightly, creating a unique pattern. The strike-a-light nearby displayed similar intricate craftsmanship. The pouch was worn on the belt, tasked with carrying all essential materials for starting a fire, flint, and striking tools. All these items are valued by the appraiser,
and they could expect to pay somewhere in the neighborhood of $6,500, $7,500. This particular pair of leggings is worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $4,500 to $5,500. This strike-a-light is worth, again, somewhere in the neighborhood of $4,500, and these moccasins are worth $3,000 to $4,000.
The guest stumbled upon the doll in the attic trunk while clearing out their late husband's sister's belongings. This specific rag doll originated from Roanoke, Alabama, crafted by a woman named Smith. Her name was Ella, and she was known as the Alabama Indestructible doll. The Alabama Indestructible doll is a captivating relic from the early 20th century American history. It was crafted around 1910 from a unique material known as Alabama clay. These dolls earn the moniker Indestructible for their renowned durability and resilience. The clothes are all original, though they are burned. The expression on it was sad and primitive, with a distinctly folky appearance. Then there's a little crack on her face, and her painted shoes, though worn, were still in good shape. Revealing the doll's timeless charm, the appraiser evaluated it worth,
at a doll show, you would see her probably for $2,000 to $2,500.
Are you serious?
And on a good day, maybe $3,000.
Whoa!
This painting by Gregory Gluckman, originally Gregory Glickman, was purchased by the guest from a dealer in New Orleans in 1996. Gregory Gluckman, born in Russia in 1898, moved to Berlin in 1920 to escape the revolution, and later to Paris in 1924.
During that time, he had exhibited quite extensively.
Known for his depictions of news, street scenes, and Parisian nightlife, Gluckman's work gained popularity, especially after moving to the United States in 1941 and settling in Los Angeles. Represented by the prestigious Dalzell Hatfield Gallery in L.A., Gluckman's work became highly sought after. This painting, done on panel rather than canvas, showcases Glucksman's meticulous layering technique, which adds a softness to the forms and backgrounds of his work. The painting's value has significantly appreciated over the years, with a current estimated value of...
This were to be offered in a gallery. It would more than likely sell for $100,000.
Wow. This exquisite piece, cherished by the guest, holds a deep historical significance and personal connection. Passed down through generations, it was once owned by the Fishers.
But I know my mother-in-law did. My mother-in-law was the oldest and I would say favorite niece of the Fishers. And because of that, and they had no children.
The guest describes it as a slice of history that they are privileged to own, intending to keep it in the family for generations to come. Although it's only been worn once, the guest plans to showcase it at a special event, paired with a V-neck dress to highlight its intricate beauty. The estimated value at auction for this necklace is
$40,000 to $60,000.
That's unbelievable.
But for insurance purposes, it's valued at approximately...
I would estimate the value at approximately $120,000.
Wow. That makes my heart skip a beat.
This doll, with its unusual and mysterious origins, has been in the family for years, initially owned by the guest's affluent great-aunt Flora. Made in Germany around 1910 to 1915 by Simon and Halbig, renowned doll makers of the time.
This particular doll was usually much smaller, and they were called Little Women. I've never seen one in this much larger size.
Despite the lack of the usual Simon and Halbig markings, the doll's long face and open-closed mouth with painted teeth are telltale signs of its origin. Originally part of the series called Little Women, this doll's larger size adds to its rarity and charm. While the doll's body is antique, it's likely not the original, as these toys were often repaired or replaced over time. In today's market, this unique doll would sell for an estimated...
This doll would sell from $1,800 to $2,000.
That's good. Aunt Flora would be pleased.
These unique dolls, crafted by Ella Smith in Roanoke, Alabama, belong to the guest's eccentric great-aunts. Made around 1910, these cloth dolls were part of Smith's line of Indestructible dolls.
They are made of cloth, which she was trying to come up with a doll that she felt would compete with the bisque and china dolls, which were very fragile.
The dolls, though initially found terrifyingly hideous by the guest, have stood the test of time, showcasing their durability and charm. Smith's innovative approach included heavily painted fabric with oil paint for a durable finish, and incorporating plaster into the head for weight and realism. Originally featuring fabric ears, later versions had molded ears, indicating the guest dolls are among the earlier models. These particular dolls are rare due to their human hair wigs, adding to their value and uniqueness. Despite their initial terrifying appearance, these dolls are valued between...
Your dolls are worth around $1,100 to maybe $1,300 retail.
Goodness gracious.
A piece.
A piece. Oh my.
The vase came from the guest's mother, who acquired it at an estate sale. Although unaware of the exact purchase price, the guest noted that it was acquired for a nominal amount. According to the guest's mother, the vase was believed to be a valuable Tiffany piece used by ladies to carry flowers to social events instead of wearing corsages. However, the appraiser identified it as a flower-form vase crafted by Letts, an Australian company often confused with Tiffany due to their similar styles. This particular vase, likely designed by artist Coleman Moser, showcased unique decoration not typically seen on flower-form vases. Due to its distinctive design and historical significance, the appraiser estimated the value of this beautiful vase to be between...
I think because of its form and the design, the combination of the two, I would say that this piece would sell somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000.
Oh my goodness!
The pedal car Mack dump truck belonged to the guest's father, dating back to the 1920s. It was discovered when the guest assisted their father in demolishing a garage, and it has retained in their possession since then.
My husband and I, we helped my dad tear the garage down. He said, take all this stuff home, and it has sat in my house ever since.
The appraiser identified the car as a Steelcraft pedal car Mack dump truck, noting its classic design and dump action feature.
It's a classic piece with a whole dump action for kids to play with, all sorts of action, movement, and noise.
Despite showing signs of wear, it was in remarkable condition for its age, a rarity considering most similar items are usually restored. The appraiser estimated its value at auction to be between
somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000.
This jacket belonged to John Burke, a radio gunner during World War II. It's a Type A2 jacket favored by pilots and crew members. Soldiers frequently adorned and personalized their jackets. John's jacket boasts the name Johnny and his wife's name, Mary, elegantly painted on it. Additionally, it showcases Century bombers for the 100th Bomb Group. It displays his B-17 named Easy Goin' on the back and the bombing missions he completed. The letters on the bombs denote various cities such as Munich and Berlin. With a photo of John wearing it, its authenticity is unquestionable. Hence, it's valued at
looking at maybe $3,000 to $4,000 today at auction.
Wow.
And it's just a great piece, and I'm really glad you brought it in.
Well, thank you. That's fantastic.